Hi, this is Ed Rushman for Whitestone Journal. I'm here pretty close actually to Mount Whitney. I just passed kind of even with it. And talking about the will and the intellect. I'm sort of like halfway in light and halfway in dark here. And there's that component of intellect and will. The intellect serves the will, and I sometimes think of the two as being more equal, in the sense that one does things for the other. But really, the intellect presents information in a sense to the will, and the will decides what it wants. The will is the source of choices, and it's a nice illusion to think, oh yeah, we use the intellect to make decisions. The intellect tells the will, but the will's the one that makes the decision. And the tricky part of it is if the will goes sour, if it's going in a bad direction, then the intellect will serve that. The will, in a sense, will direct the intellect. Okay, go find me stuff that tells me I'm right, that this is a good thing. Tell me how to get to what it is I want. If the will says, instead, I want God, I want to be close to God, I want to find goodness itself, I want to love, I want to find love itself, then the intellect will find ways to accomplish that. I mean, among the saints, there's saints where they found that they got the idea to go off and do some kind of service and found some way to achieve that because their will just was directed toward service, toward love. But if the will is directed toward not, I want to find God, I want to see God, but rather I want to be God, then the intellect will serve that too, and the intellect will say, this food looks like good eating. This fruit looks good. And you know what? This has some advantages. Let's eat this thing. Or the intellect says, hey, really, we don't need to go through all this other God stuff. Why don't we just build a tower and get to heaven that way? Because ultimately, the story of the Tower of Babel and the story of the Garden of Eden, the fall, are really the same story. They're just accomplished in two different ways. One of them says, hey, I can get knowledge. That's a good thing. That's a way for me to become God. Oh, no more light and shadow. And the other one is, I don't need to go through all this other stuff. I'll just use technology. I'll just find a technology that gets me to heaven. I mean, they say that technology is going to make it so people don't die, and that's one of the big goals. Oh yeah, that's really smart. That's going to really happen. But hey, if they tinker around enough, maybe they can extend life some more. The point is here that really think about where your will is turned. And the will turns in the direction it wants to awfully early. It's so important to get things right early with children. And that hasn't always been something easy to do. They ultimately make the choice. We do what we can to bump them in the right direction. But everybody has free will, and they're going to do what they want to do. And it's a reality that we're told that hell is a possibility. We don't know if anybody's there other than Satan. Of course, St. Francis of Assisi prayed for him. But the idea is that we're told it's a reality because somebody could, even after seeing the beauty of God, not want it. As Milton said, it's better to rule in hell than to serve in heaven. And if the will is directed toward being God and not toward loving God, knowing God, finding God, then the intellect is going to serve that. That's what's going to happen. And, watch yourself. If you think your intellect's telling you something, you better be awfully careful because your will's pointing it in that direction and asking it to help. And if it's pointed toward God, your intellect's going to help you in that direction. If your will wants to be God, your intellect's going to help you get there. Once you decide that you want to be God, and you're never going to see it that way, and that intellect starts in, one of the things it'll do is it'll shrink your world down into a smaller and smaller world until you're stuck in your own mind. And we call that mental illness. I'm not saying all mental illness is that. I'm just saying it sure looks an awful lot like it. And that's not to say that the mentally ill went that direction, but it sure looks like it. I mean, it looks like it for us. If our will says that we're God, then we're crazy. And eventually, it may become a kind of real craziness. I can't judge which one is which. I don't think doctors can. And it really doesn't matter what any of the rest of us think. Just don't go there if you can help it. And you can help it. Practice good mental hygiene. You're not God. If you think that that's what you are, and if your intellect is helping you get there, and all your reasoning says, oh, all this other stuff is crazy, and I'm going to find the real thing, or there is no God, I can do whatever I want. Somehow there's magical free will that without a God, without any spiritual life, because of quantum effects, the ever-present, ever-useful quantum effects for false intellectualism. If you really want to reason something, you can't find a way to get there, use quantum effects. Not that I want to give you advice on how best to get to hell. And hell isn't at the end of your life in that case. You'll get it here. Seek heaven. Seek love. Find the way. Ed Rushman, Whitestone Journal.